They all want to fight.
Good for them.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at video game sequels that divided loyalties and fan bases.
There is one thing I do know. I have a job to do, and I'm gonna see it through.
Number 10. Call of Duty Ghosts.
Just keep running!
When you look at the trajectory of Call of Duty, from the World War II inspired originals to the Modern Warfare outings, all the way to the 1960s era Black Ops, all of them were received relatively positively. But then along came 2013's Ghosts. While it still included fun mechanics that made the series a multiplayer juggernaut, changes to gameplay modes rubbed some players the wrong way. So too did the lackluster campaign, which didn't feature any standout characters or narrative beats the same way its predecessors did. It was an early instance of players feeling like maybe we didn't need one of these every year, and that feeling has persisted, spawning an endless debate as the series has continued on.
And this really happened. So the legend goes.
Number 9. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. There are several reasons some Zelda fans rejected the cartoony style of The Wind Waker. A GameCube tech demo in 2000 made it seem like the next entry would be more adult, as did previous darker installments like Majora's Mask. Games were also becoming much more mature at the time, and that's what many Western players wanted from Link's Next Adventure. So when the cel-shaded Wind Waker was revealed, they were ready to riot. Dubbing it Zelda, those upset with the change spoke with their wallets, leading to disappointing sales in Nintendo's eyes. It was still a solid action-adventure game, and its visuals have aged incredibly well. Still, when the next console game, Twilight Princess, turned out to be more mature, it broke franchise sales records. Number 8. Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty. When Metal Gear Solid 2 was released, its narrative themes were thought by some to be overly complicated, bringing down the overall experience. Others believed those themes made the game ahead of its time, but what truly made it divisive was who you played as.
This is Raiden.
Sons of Liberty has you begin as the franchise lead, Solid Snake, before a small time jump puts you in the shoes of new character, Raiden. When you have a well-liked main character in the first game, and then switch who players will control in the second, it's bound to stir the pot a little. At the time, players weren't nearly as keen on this protagonist, considering him whiny.
What are you laughing at?
And would have enjoyed playing as Snake much more.
Too true.
Number 7. Doom 3. The Doom series is rightfully known as an intense, quick-paced, blood-soaked joyride. Sadly, going against that grain upset some die-hard fans. The premise in Doom 3 is basically the same as always. While conducting experiments on Mars, scientists accidentally open a portal to hell, giving players hordes of demons in need of slaying. But in this case, it slows things down by going the survival horror route.
I can help you. The lights are all out.
Although the mechanics were great, many felt the loss of energy greatly affected its pacing. Enemy AI was also a point of contention, as it became repetitive and predictable as the game progressed. While by no means a bad game, many fans consider it to be the weakest installment.
Is there some type of problem? I'm just trying to get my work done here.
Number 6. Dragon Age 2.
We can't keep this up forever.
We'll make it through this.
When BioWare released the original Dragon Age, it was seen by players and critics alike as an excellent step forward in the fantasy RPG genre. When it comes to Dragon Age 2, however, there's a great many things all players would have liked changed. A big part of the blame belongs with publisher EA, who crunched the studio and forced reuse assets. The setting was also scaled down, making those reused assets all the more noticeable. Big changes were also made to combat, focusing more on action than strategy. Although singular quests and companions featured strong writing, the delivery of the central narrative was also divisive. There are definitely still strengths, but the experience as a whole is certainly uneven.
It used to be we never got visitors to the wilds, but now it seems they arrive in hordes.
Number 5. Fallout 3.
My. You certainly do look a little bit worn out from your travels.
The original Fallout games, made by Black Isle Studios, are considered pinnacles of isometric RPGs. Sadly, the studio was closed in 2003 when parent company Interplay was experiencing financial woes, and its version of Fallout 3 essentially died with it. Enter Bethesda, who purchased the rights and released its own third entry in 2008. The game interjected the series with action, in particular thanks to its first-person view and gunplay. However, such a big shift in genre was bound to upset purists, and it did. Despite strong sales and reviews, there are those who simply wish Black Isle had been allowed to retain the franchise. That disappointment has likely never gone away, especially with the missteps Bethesda has made with Fallout since.
We can always use another one of these.
Number 4. DmC Devil May Cry.
Demon scum.
When Capcom announced a Devil May Cry reboot and fans got their first look at the new Dante, you'd have thought he killed their pet in front of them with how much hatred he drew. The change in design and characterization is still well remembered over a decade later. So intense was the vocal outrage.
Not in a million years.
Actually playing it though was still a ton of fun. Developer Ninja Theory's combat was the right level of fresh and familiar, and both the visuals and boss fights were striking. Unfortunately, the backlash likely played a part in DmC not selling as well as previous entries. Capcom would later go back to developing internally, as well as the original continuity, with Devil May Cry 5.
What am I doing wasting my time here? He's got this.
Number 3. Resident Evil 5. Capcom's seminal survival horror series began dipping its toe into the action pool with Resident Evil 4. However, many fans agree it went overboard with the follow-up. Gone was the tone of fear, replaced by bravado and larger-than-life set pieces. Mechanics were still top-notch, but it didn't feel like a Resident Evil game. Sure, there was some visceral enemy designs and some thrilling firefights, but there's no denying the fanbase would have preferred something a bit more subtle.
Locked and loaded.
Suck on this, Wesker.
The game's success led to an even more action-packed 6th entry, which many consider to be the weakest mainline game. Thankfully, Capcom took the series back to its roots in Resident Evil 7. Number 2. Final Fantasy XIII.
So much for the element of surprise.
With a franchise as expansive as Final Fantasy, everyone has their favourite and least favourite. When it comes to the latter, Final Fantasy XIII is a top contender for many. The graphics, music and combat were all praised. However, the game's design, plot and pace tested the patience of every player.
You mean that was our focus? But how are we supposed to know what to do from that?
It was far more linear in design, even in comparison to some of the franchise's oldest entries. One element that became infamous was its overly long opening section, which was decreed as dull and tedious by certain players.
Hey, where do you think you're going?
Plenty of people still got enjoyment out of Final Fantasy XIII, or else it wouldn't have gotten 2 sequels.
She said yes!
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. The Last of Us, Part 2.
You're done.
You want what I want, right?
End it. Now.
The controversies surrounding The Last of Us Part 2 are so varied that it's almost impossible to have a civil conversation about it. Some complaints were close-minded, such as a focus on LGBTQ+ characters. Others were down to individual taste, such as pacing and storytelling decisions. Discussions and debates have even transcended the game, looking at Naughty Dog's crunch culture as a reason not to support it. However, when it comes to sales and awards, it was nothing but an immense success. Some players still defend the sequel's bold decisions, while others feel something close to betrayal. If there's one thing we know for certain, it's that The Last of Us Part 2 will remain the most divisive sequel for a long time.
We got a new mandate. Kill all trespassers.
Which polarizing sequel do you defend to the death? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe for more great videos every day.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.